had actually computer issues earlier today, and like five
Yep.
minutes 5 minutes before Sushai supposed to join his Patreon
right.
hangout.
We're live.
I forgot all about that, dude. It's like when you like work like a shitty job, you go to school. It's like on the weekends you just want to just don't get out of bed anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
capitalism.
so
Yes.
next time I'll just set my alarm.
No, that's what I had though. That's what I do because, like, yeah, if we were on other Sundays when it's like C Shot doesn't have a Patreon hangout as he did earlier this morning, I just like sleeping until I just set my alarms for like to wake me up for when we do this show. So it's just Alchemy.
Yeah.
And hello everyone, hello lads, lasses, and MD badasses, and thank you for coming. Right now over here on the Alchemy bench we have just me right now, Summer Niki. Over there we have John Bratman, and down there we have Zaya, who's been going through a rough time. So I totally understand. It's like, but it's here. Yeah, go ahead.
My it's just like my battery's not charging, even though I have it plugged in. So
I see it. Yeah. And Joey's
Is that a metaphorical battery, or are you talking about an actual battery?
an actual battery for my
Okay.
laptop.
I wasn't sure if you were still talking about how it sucks to work and have a job and go to school.
It does suck to work and have a job.
Well, it's interesting because like I was saying in the ask away question, I feel like that's an autism story no one wants to hear about. It's always
Oh, pretty much, yeah.
some
We're-
bullshit about some supermodel or something.
Yeah, because like little Arnold talk about this all the time. It's just like they want like inspiration for like the things. Your disability is no, it's just something you have to overcome, which is why many disabled folks and even autistic folks was like hate the people first language. That's the words like you are a person but you have autism. You are a person but you're disabled. They rather it's like Tavi Wolf has said it's like no, listen. Like I am a person I am a trans woman that has difficulty getting up. I have fibromyalgia that will cause up to fatigue flare-ups. I have a cane that I have to like use to like assist me in walking, something like that. If you take these things away from me, like I suddenly get better, something like that, you take away what I am right now, as it were. So I am a disabled person, as it were.
Yeah.
And so John Brockman, it probably get a chance to look get the list.
Yeah, I had it open the whole time, but I was waiting for you to continue. Also, I had to look up a new picture for Isaiah because Isaiah, once again, you don't have your camera on. So
The camera's
I
not
went to the
functioning.
heart, the core of what it means to be a white girl, and thus you are now pumpkin spice.
That's one of the Spice Girls, pumpkin spice.
All right, so thank you to Julie, who is not here, feeling bad. Feel bad for her.
Yeah. Get better, Julie. Thank you.
Yes, and Marty.
Who's in the chat right now? Hello, Marty.
Marty. I'm guessing you were trying to type penis. And accidentally typed Peebus.
Maybe she was wanted to type Peebus. Yes.
Remember Peebus. All right. Oh, hey, Tom. Tom is connecting to the audio.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Fancy Mike. Next up, we have Mylin
Thank you, Mylan.
and Ellie
Thank you, Ellie.
and Yo.
Thank you, Yo.
Yo.
A couple of fuck boys.
Yes, thank you to fuck
Thanks,
boys.
Fuck Boys.
And thank you to Mehmet, who is like haven't been able to join us, but I hope he's getting better.
Yes, he's been having a rough time of it.
Yeah.
Then we have Tim
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Dave.
and Von Reck.
Thank you, Von Rack.
One of those two is still gay. I can never remember which one.
It's Von Rack.
I think it's the one that's going to have the baby. That's
Yeah,
because
gay
because
baby,
it's
gay baby.
confusing to me, and it just really.
Okay,
Yeah.
Boomer.
So I'd say you feel tired and exhausted from like the working a job, capitalism. So on the weekends you just want to do nothing. Yeah, I get that feeling a lot too.
Well, it's like I work Monday through Saturday, Monday through Friday at the hospital, then Saturday at this other job, and then Sunday just doing nothing, I guess.
But yeah, we got to accept that like people who want to do nothing as a word, either because like they work a lot as a word. So like, well, hell, I've showed the state of my room several times. It's still a fucking mess right now. I just put things on top of things. I bought some like groceries for myself and just snacks for work and like energy drinks, and I still just like I don't have a place to put it. I just put it on the ground on top of the clothes that is already there, and I'm not sure what's underneath the clothes. Maybe there's a carpet to the floor or something like that. Sometimes I can see it, but like I have to like move things in order to like see the carpet in my room.
And it's like I work a lot, but I feel like I don't make a lot of money doing it. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, personally for me, it's just kind of like if I'm just taking care of myself, I have enough money to like maintain things. It's just like when a lot of my friends are being stressed out by like money, as it were. I wish I'd like to not to be like stressed out about money. Which, speaking of which, let me find the links and I will say, give Phoenix money, because right now they would really need it. So there is the GoFundMe, and they have set up a new PayPal pool. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. I need to like undo there. There we go.
It's like, it's like even for like yourself, it's still not. It's sometimes still not enough. I mean, it's enough, but then you don't get to like enjoy.
Yeah.
Like the fruits of your labor, because you're always paying bills and shit.
Yeah, I am sorry for our generation. It's my fault.
The greatest generation saved Europe from the Nazis. You're welcome. And then the boomers went and ruined everything by voting for Nixon and Reagan. I'm sorry, you destroyed it.
Yeah, I voted for Nixon and Reagan. That's true. I did do that.
They were like incredibly, ridiculously popular thanks to the Southern strategy.
Yeah, yeah.
Be racist, but don't sound racist. It worked.
Yeah. Also, well, I am Northern, but I guess I'm a Confederate at heart.
Well, no. See, that's why they had to not sound racist, so that they had to be racist to win the South. They had to not sound racist so as to get votes outside the South. That's how they tricked you.
I heard the dog whistle because I can hear because my Southern attuned ears can hear that shit.
Well, not anymore, because you're like super old and your hearing gets worse as you get older.
What? Jesus Christ! I gotta turn my goddamn gain up here.
Well, it's like me and my art. It's like like I want to do more art, but it's like I just can't finance it because I don't have a bigger apartment yet and shit like that. That's why I go to school to get a better job somewhere.
Yeah. I at this point it's just like yeah, a lot of people have like kind of like said, and it's like it's just been a known thing for like the last decade of years, and so it's just like in order to actually get like move up in the world and like get the higher their pay, as it were, you got to just change jobs, as it were, like change companies, as it were, and like because that's the only way you can really get like a better pay, as it were, because people will be like, and sometimes you will get.
What you need to do, son, is you need to transition into this gig economy. That's the way you get ahead. You hustle.
Well, actually, it's not that. It's you just need to like white splain and tell me I need to just work 3 shitty jobs for 20 years and save up money for that.
There was like a thing in like George W. Bush, like a woman, a single mom said, "I worked 3 jobs in order to like make sure my kids have like a good life." And George W. Bush is like, "Wow!" To which Michael Moore makes his commentary. It's like, "Wow, I wish there were more Americans like you, just working 3 jobs, and like that way, they're like all the rest of our elite rich people don't have to do a single fucking thing." Which is true.
See, I got ahead on my own merits. I mean, my parents done bought me that house, and my mom got me the job at her company, and then I worked hard and got ahead and did it by my own self, my bootstraps. I pulled myself up by my bootstraps at my mother's company.
Whereas there's people like me who actually had to work 3 jobs and still didn't make enough money, so it's like.
Yep.
Okay. Well, what was so infuriating about this person is this person called herself a liberal because she supported BLM, and she has like satanic shit. But I guess that made her a liberal, I guess.
Well, that certainly doesn't make her like the traditional Trecon conservatives, as it were, for being like the member of the Satanic Temple, I guess, which is one thing. But that doesn't.
Just because you have pink hair doesn't make you liberal.
Yeah, it doesn't make you a feminist either. I mean, just like it's a stereotype, but like
it's a stereotype, but
but there are exceptions that prove the rule. That's the word. Like you're a person there who's like pink hair, but like has like I mean, sometimes it's because I have to remember this. It's like which just like thoughts on slips. He hates tankies a lot more than liberals because liberals they grew up indoctrinated to believe in the things that they believe in and something like that. Tankies they chose to believe that Stalin did nothing wrong and had to research and like look up Stalin's writings and what he did and think that he's a cool dude for like his writings or something like that, and ignoring all the terrible things of gulags and the starvation that he has caused.
No, the gulags were good actually because they got rid of the
sex workers,
landlords, the kulaks. There it was. The Holodomor didn't happen, but if it did happen, it was a good thing.
Yeah, I used to know tankies. I didn't enjoy it.
I think that is the best expression of it. I used to know tankies. I didn't enjoy it.
It's like you can't bitch about neo-Nazis and their shit, but then have something on the complete opposite, like on the other end of that spectrum. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I was literally just quoting neo-Nazis, but I changed Holocaust to Holodomor. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Because Nazbols are just kind of like almost like the fascists of like anti-capitalists. There's also
you can have right-wing anti-capitalists, and they're called Stalinists.
Yes, there's also, and you can have fascist anti-capitalists that are called like they're precessionists. There are people who are anti-capitalist, but yet still want fascism because they want state control, as it were, and also like all the continuing of all the other things. Like I've said before, this guy showed up to a black socialist like live stream and said that I am economically left, but I'm culturally right, and all of them are like, dude, why are you here? Are you lost or something? And then he said something of like maybe all lives matter, something like that. Instantly got banned by that because of course. Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be a problem with my laptop. It's just like I use my laptop for school every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine.
And I'm about to graduate, so like that's like okay, that's nice.
Yeah, cool.
Cool. And then you're moving to Tampa?
I hope so.
You hope so? Oh, you haven't made the direct plans yet. Okay.
Yeah, essentially. Either I don't have the direct plans or I don't have the money yet. One of the two.
Yeah.
Well, Tallahassee is nice.
There's a conservative with pink hair, Jordan Joan? That's
a
contradiction.
Well,
I'm not sure if she's meaning this, but there is a crazy right-wing prophetess. I can't think of her name. But she's got pink hair. She has pictures. She has
Kat Kerr.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, she has photographs of heaven, photographs of angels. She's she's fun. I don't know if that's what Joan meant, but Joan P meant, but that's what I can think of.
Have you ever been to Tallahassee?
I've been to Tallahassee.
I've lived here all my life. It's not an awful place. I just have a lot of bad memories about this place.
Yeah.
This is where both my parents died. I can't get a good job that I want with my degree here, so it's just a lot of that. I also I mean, this country, like this city, talks about football. I hate football, so I was like,
I just found Kat Kerr's Facebook page and. It's like she's trying to be a stereotype. First off, she's from Florida, so living up to the stereotype there. Okay.
Is she the
but the Kat Kerr, you can see her banner here. It's sort of this image of the Earth on a cosmic background. I'm the visionary for One Quest International, a for-profit company that reveals heaven on earth.
This is the new agey conservative person because
Yes.
it's very possible you can be new agey, but you still have traditional values.
Yes, get your crown on. No more normal.
I don't know if she's new agey. I think she's old agey. She's really into
No, she's got pink
prophecy
hair and a scarf. She's super new age.
Okay. She's also fucking nuts. So I think the fucking nuts right wing wins out over the pink hair and the scarf. But I could be wrong. She's a big Trump fan.
Yeah, and I noticed that you changed the banner to now include like our patrons, like,
Yes.
and so thanks to source, and also like 2743 B Game Do Crimes.
Yep.
So that's cool. So that way, even if we do,
I'm always leery, kind of wary, cherry of number codes though, because they're so popular with the white supremacists.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's the word. So
The only one I accept is 1312, really. Because that one's just so ingrained.
There's also 69 and 420. Those are ingrained as well.
But those aren't number codes in the way that the white supremacists use them.
True, that's right.
The white supremacists pretty much only use them to represent the alphabet.
Right, exactly. And there's also like 1337, but that's also something else. That's leet, as it were. So it's not the same thing as like letters for an acronym.
Yep.
Hey, you. Oh yeah, now you showed up in my thing as it were in the live chat. I did have a thing to talk about. Fuck Activision Blizzard. Just fuck him. So content.
First off, sexism. Second, massive profits and laying off their workers.
Yes, because this is Activision Blizzard. I know we love our Diablos and World of Warcraft and stuff like that, but even Overwatch, it's a beloved game. But that's where the loot box craze started from Overwatch. It was just like Battlefield 2, Star Wars Battlefield 2, that
the thing
really
is, you don't get any in-game benefits from any of the loot boxes. Whereas other games, you do get benefits from loot boxes, which is bad. But since they did actually had like limited time skins that like they're still selling it to you. They still want you to buy it. They're still selling it, but at least it's not pay to win.
It's not pay to win. It's still predatory gambling though, because why else would they put it in there unless they don't want you like to buy it or something like that? They're definitely trying to like now if Overwatch was totally free to play, which maybe it can be right now, at least it's free to play. Like all the mobile games or something like that, they will have those microtransactions. But if they're free to play, as it were, then it's just like
free to play, pay to win.
Yeah, exactly. But what's we're alluding to that recently came up is that California is suing Activision Blizzard for hostile work environment, and this is where we have to mention the content warnings of sexual harassment and suicide, because the details in the lawsuit, and I'll also get the copy of the IGN article that's like has also an update of like a statement from the president of Activision Blizzard, but it's many women were paid less than all the men, so it was described as a frat boy kind of like a culture workplace.
But who I hate.
Yeah, exactly, because like the men would be playing video games all day, but then delegate the work to the female co-workers who were paid less, not offered like other upper management positions or promotions, that's the word, and constant talk about from males co-workers to females about sexual stuff, even jokes about rape, and it got in the sexual.
I'm shocked.
Yes,
this is surprising. I would never have expected this.
And the sexual harassment got so bad that like male coworkers would be they were sharing around naked photos of their female coworkers or something like that, and to that one point that one woman actually was going to like go on a
did Matt Gaetz work at Activision?
Possibly, or some similar case like Matt Gaetz, but no, a woman was going to go on a business trip with a male supervisor who has harassed her and shared the nude photos before. She couldn't take it in her life before on that business trip or before that business trip. So yes, so the work culture at Activision Blizzard caused a woman to end her life. And so that's why California is suing Activision Blizzard. They want back pay, bereavement payments, all the sorts of things. And this reminds me of how, like, okay, over back in like 2012, when Anita Sarkeesian, just this like a pop culture, like feminist media critic, was about to do
When she
tropes
robbed people.
it's when she's going to do tropes versus video women's in video games that she did before on other media and TV shows. She got so much harassment for that. And she's kind of right that sexism itself, and not only ingrained in the fandom, as we saw with Nina Keen's treatment, but also in the industry as well. And this is something they said that like this is a problem with the AAA industry, pretty much in a tweet, because there was also the problems that came to light in Ubisoft as well, at that work culture, horrible work culture, and again HR defending all of these like perpetrators and the harassers and predators, as it were. But then, and Activision Blizzard is the latest example of a terrible flat boy workplace environment, and that like it fosters that sort of thing. Rockstar has similar problems, but then Zoe Quinn on Twitter has the same Zoe Quinn that was like that was literally who in Gamergate. She has says like it's not just the AAA industry, the indie game industry also has the same problems as were. If it's still the boys' club, as for a lot of like male gamers they think it is, and some of them still think it is, it's pervasive across the whole industry as well. And also there's like the work place, and this is a workplace issue as well, but there's also the crunch problems with a lot of like video game developers too. Rockstar bragging about the 100-hour work weeks at the launch of like Red Dead Redemption 2. So in people outside this thing, I love Diablo 2 and I love Warcraft 2 and StarCraft, and I have not played Diablo 3 at all, even when the auction house happened, that sort of thing, where it's just like, yeah, they wanted people to like gamble at the auction house, and once they removed it, they had to rebalance the whole game, as it were. So that's kind of shows that they were wanting to do the microtransaction things in that game. But if people like still want to like play World of Warcraft or something like that, you know, that's their decision, as it were. I will leave it up to like people if they want to still support like Activision as Blizzard or something like that. I can imagine it'd be difficult to like stop playing your beloved games. If you already owned them, you already gave them money before you knew this, don't feel guilty to play those games, and as it were. Afterwards, I leave it up to like the buyers, as it were. It's going to be really difficult for me to like buy another Activision Blizzard's games. And also, yeah, remember Activision with like Call of Duty and COD and the microtransactions and all those kind of terrible things and that sort of thing as well. And then, like John Brockton said, like in 2019 they recorded record profits and laid off 8% of their work staff. So yeah.
Because they really are a people company.
Well, their CEO, who has difficulty getting dates because all the things have been like said about him online, comparing him to the devil. That was actually a thing. But he gets seven-figure salary, or make $100 million. I don't know. It's an absurd amount for like any one man. So we're like, he's not a billionaire, but he's $100 millionaire for sure. It's just like, So yeah, fuck Activision Blizzard. That's the story.
So they get paid to play video games all day?
Well, there are
If they have to pay you to do it, it's not worth doing.
and then eventually becomes a job, as it were, because even for like the actors on the Lost, that was set on Hawaii. The actors there even come up with like some problems. Oh, we can't do the shooting today because there's going to be a little bit of rain. Oh, it's like, they still found things to complain about, but they're on Hawaii to filming Lost at a beach, as it were. So it's work, it's still work, but like but for people who actually do like play video games, as it were, like QA testers, yes, they play video games all day. They have to do that one thing 500 times to make sure that bug is not there. Or once they find a bug, then they have to report it to the programmers, who some of them will be like,
remember, they're not actually playing the game. They're doing the same shit over and over and over again in slightly different ways to try and break the game. It's not like sitting around playing Breath of the Wild, which I beat Friday night.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah. And the Tea Party Marty is totally right. Have you ever known anyone in the major gaming like software companies? Bro culture. I'm shocked. Exactly. I mean, James, whoever the Google Manifesto. That's the guy who was
James
complaining about
Damore.
James Damore, who complained about the woke culture at Google, as it were. All the tech companies have a very similar problem of like very bro cultures were. And I agree, Joe and Joe P, to support the game developers. Some of them still have their problems, so we might hear about like terrible cultures in some things. But
I heard one of them slept with a reviewer in order to get a better review.
Yes.
Oh
It's
my
about
God.
ethics in video game journalism.
Yep, that's the whole thing. And so one indie developer that like actually came out to say that no, we're not doing crunch whatsoever, just like 8-hour work days, like 4 or
Even
5 days a
8-hour
week.
work days is too much. It should be a
I
4-hour
agree.
work day, 3 days a week.
Yeah. But super big, huge games. The game developer of Hades and Bastion and Transistor, as it were, they're a good studio, and their games are actually a lot of fun. Motion Twin is the Anarcho-Tomunists like workers co-op on 10 guys, but they all share like the profits, as were, and they all make decisions together. They developed the game Dead Cells. I recommend that game as a roguelike. It's difficult, but I recommend it highly as well. So that's another indie developer I recommend. The game Inkenfell is great too. Very gay, very gay and queer, but also has like great accessibility options, and it's a very fun tactical RPG. The story is well written too. So just a couple of titles and studios I can throw out there. So what else has happened in the news?
I learned about the connection between eugenics and evangelical culture thanks to a podcast. Talk Nerdy, Cara Santa Maria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Um,
Yeah, she used to be with TYT, right?
no, she was on Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. She might have. I don't think she did anything with the Young Turks. She was on HuffPo.
Okay, yeah.
But Cara Santa Maria recently, sometime in the last few weeks, had an interview with Audrey Claire Farley, who wrote a book about a sensational scandal from the 1930s. Totally rocked San Francisco when a wealthy white heiress was forcibly sterilized by her own mother.
Hi, Phoenix. What a time to Hi, Phoenix. What a time to walk into for, like a woman being forcibly sterilized, but like
Yes.
fun times.
Yes, when talking about eugenics, obviously all content warning applies. Big criminal trial. Girl and her mother both got dragged through the press. It was pretty horrible for everyone. The judge ended up deciding that no crime had been committed because he basically ruled that the young woman was an inward-loving slut. And therefore she deserved to have her fallopian tubes removed without her knowledge.
That was the reason given?
Yeah. The first fig leaf that was offered was her mother had her declared an idiot by a doctor. But then in the trial, almost exclusively focused on the fact that she liked men in uniform, meaning poor men, and had once been seen sitting in the lap of a Negro. And that was really what clinched it. So it was pretty awful all around.
My laptop's charging now.
Okay,
Yay.
cool.
So the connection though with the evangelicals was Paul Popenoe, one of the big advocates for the defense, guy in California who did all sorts of wonderful shit for eugenics. Worked with the Human Betterment Foundation with funding from wealthy asshole E.S. Gosney. So he was personally, at least partly responsible for, among other things, the forced sterilization of tens of thousands of people. So indigenous folks, disabled folks, obviously. Hey, we have lots of Japanese immigrants, so probably a lot of them, Japanese and Chinese, lots of East Asian immigrants, convicted felons. And since the forcible sterilization under California laws continued into the 1970s, black people. Because they started living south. So
but no
Yeah.
but no big court cases about those because
no,
they were
because they're poor and it was
rich
mostly
white
conducted behind closed
white
doors.
women.
Mhm. If this can happen to a rich white woman, it could happen to any of us. But yeah, after the whole Nazi thing came out, they started to downplay the forcible sterilization aspect and started to focus on positive eugenics.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that because Geek called my adopted white mom a Karen, which that is true, and her son probably would have been part of that whole eugenics thing because her son is like badly disabled. So
Mm.
Mhm. So the positive eugenics means things like marriage counseling, where they basically judge whether people are white enough to get married. But they also encouraged lots of white babies by, discouraging, nasty, effeminate homosexuality. Paul Popenoe funded research into torturing people until they're not gay anymore. So that was again we get to thank him. So we get to see one of the links to the evangelicals right there. Discouraging masturbation, opposing porn, opposing abortion, restricting immigration, anti-miscegenation laws. So we see all of these things that these positive eugenics has absolutely in common with the evangelical culture. But there's also a direct link, namely that James Dobson, the founder of Focus on the Family, was apprenticed to Paul Popenoe. He worked directly for him at one point. So
as in
he was his
actual
assistant,
apprenticeship
or he worked for him.
okay.
I don't know exactly what the job was.
Mentored by him, at least.
Yeah. So basically, everything the Republican Party wants in the culture war is white supremacist eugenics.
basically,
Exactly. And Emily Chambers is correct that forced sterilization is still happens. So to disabled peoples as well. And you mentioned about the electroshock therapy and that whole thing as well. I mean, that's still happening, which is why the sock the shot hashtag is trending. And
well, the electric shock for autistic people is, I think, it's pretty directly related to the electric shock to cure gay people.
Yeah.
Basically torturing people to make them do what you want.
Speaking of autistic people, I told Geek over the week about how my adopted mom, she talks to police officers, or I guess the cops come to her about how do we deal with people with autism. So and Geek was like, so your mom has to show you that you're one of the good ones. I'm like, basically, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm not an N-word, essentially. That's what I'm not.
God, I hate our country.
Yeah, exactly.
Some criminals are bad. Some criminals are some people are just autistic and don't want to be treated as criminals, basically.
No, you can tell which ones are bad because they're
Dark.
urban.
Yeah, if they're black and autistic, do we care about them more or less?
Less.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they are disabled, so there's that. So they're already at a disadvantage just by that nature alone. So yeah, but she's a Karen.
Yeah, because this is your conservative, the white adopted mom that you have. So it's just like with the rest of the behaviors and what she is how she's disappointed in you and not being advantageous, or maybe I'm crossing the streams and the confusions here with someone else.
I have explained to her that I am not a capitalist, that I am a socialist. She's actually listened to me on why I'm one. She's not like a radical Trump supporter kind of person.
Well,
she's just I think she's one of those conservatives that just things move like we're just moving too quickly, and she just was like, give me the old way back.
Why do we have to change?
Well, yeah, we can't, we don't want to, but that's just
well, then I was quoting my manager at my gas station job who believes in the Old Testament of the Bible, So there's that, and thinks that homosexuality is a sin, and there's that. But like ConocoPhillips, the gas station company that owns like 76 Circle K and now, and that's the gas station I worked at, had a policy, a dress code of like a uniform, but also no hats whatsoever, but made the exception for religious headwear for like people with hijabs and like scarves and like headdresses as were. And then she was just kind of like miffed by that because the company made an exception for for those people, and she was like, "Why do we have to change? Why is it like we have to change to like be more accepting of other people's religious beliefs?" And so that got over again, and now and also she believes in the Old Testament, the Bible, and it believes homosexuality is a sin. Thank God my career does not work for her. And so
This happened at Boeing.
no, this happened. No, I don't work at. I never worked at Boeing. This happened at the gas station job I worked at.
I mean, I could work at Boeing because I like airplanes, but I don't know. Like, what would I do there?
So they got a lot of maintenance jobs, a lot of the mechanical jobs, but just like, and they're probably hiring now as thinking things are opening up and people are getting vaccinated, but there's still the Delta variant because like, no, yeah, the coronavirus was a huge hit to the to Boeing as it were in the industry at large because not a lot of people are flying.
Mhm.
I would, I mean, I don't know. I've always wanted to fly on a 747. I want to fly on one of those before they get rid of them. So.
Not sure if they're going to get rid of them anytime soon. Don't know if anything promised it. Still big problems with Boeing because like they were just like put like profits over like safety as it were.
Yeah.
But yeah, just another thought of a point is like Tom McDonald, how have you been? How have you been up to?
Basically, okay, for my hip, it's been getting much better the last few weeks.
That's good.
So I'm happy about that. I somehow got really tense in my left shoulder and neck a few days ago, and that's been resolving. And as part of the resolution, I've not been able to sleep, and it's been really painful. So I have a tiny bit of information about what Julie must deal with on a regular basis. So I have a lot of sympathy for that. Other than that, I'm doing all right. I do have a question though. My only current pop culture reference, and it's a question. Do you know what's going on with the right wing and the reboot of He-Man? I've heard that there's right wing folks that are upset because there are actual women that have parts in that are important in the new He-Man reboot.
I don't know about that.
Let's see, He-Man reboot freakout.
Because honestly,
I got this. Oh, okay, this is wonderful. I got something you guys don't know about
share
about
with us.
fanboy, current fanboy
discourse. BS.
Okay, BS bullshit. Well, what the response to it is bullshit anyway.
Okay, so like totally not okay. Thank you, Emily Chambers, for like stopping by and like hanging out. You gotta jump. Thank you for coming by. So I don't know what specifically the conservatives or right wings are complaining about, like new He-Man as it is there. I just I heard from like Steve Shives who like watched all of the new He-Man, and he didn't like it. It's like it's not as good. And now it's interesting that like some of his problems with the new He-Man is because of he was a fan of the old He-Man, because it's podcasting, his close friend and podcasting partner Jason Harding never watched the original 80s He-Man, and so when we watched the new He-Man, Jason Harding actually like enjoyed it more than C. Shives did. But C. Shives says go ahead.
No, saying like you gotta like it when old folks bitch about, like old conservatives bitch about like cartoons, but then they'll tell us to grow up or something like that.
That's a brilliant point. But like but C-Shot has said that like He-Man is nowhere near the new He-Man is nowhere near as good as like She-Ra, Princess of Power, or something like that. And I'm thinking, okay, that's a really high bar, and when you compare it to like She-Ra, but it's nowhere near as good, then it's just like I don't know. I might probably watch the old cartoons of He-Man and just have fun with like those, especially since I'm interested in watching more She-Ra and so I'll be interested in watching old school She-Ra as well. And Jordan Trapeze said, like, I was going to watch the new He-Man yesterday, but I didn't feel like it yet. I'd say. So Tea Party said, like, I heard He-Man's transitions because lesbian feminize everything. Oh, liberals, so that's what liberals.
Yeah, lesbian. Well, lesbians probably do too. Right? I mean, I would too. If I would.
Well, I was afraid it slipped for me. Liberals instead of lesbians instead of liberals.
Well, let's be honest. All liberals are secretly lesbians. I mean,
it's part of that gay agenda, of which I did saw that tweet that you showed in like the show. If there's really a gay agenda that's forcing you to want to like suck a cock, you probably want to suck a cock already.
Yeah.
So, Tom, what's the specifics about like what they're complaining about now?
I don't know. That's why I was asking.
I just found a long rant on Reddit.
That's a good stuff. That's a good place.
The dude doesn't like how they treated Mossman, but mostly complains that it turned into the Tila show.
Oh,
okay.
So
the show focuses on Tila too much, according to him.
Tila is a female character, I would assume.
Yes, voiced by Sarah Michelle Gellar, in fact.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Buffy.
Yep.
I know her from Buffy, but I just like Cruel Intentions.
Yep. I figured you would go there. Yeah. 90s movie.
Gotta go back to classic 90s.
Mm-hmm.
God, she was scary in that fucking movie.
Yeah, that was a change of pace.
So because like then it's called He-Man, not Woman. So it's like stop like focusing on the woms. But
so
it's like
no Skeletor. Then I guess Skeletor would be bad too.
Yeah, exactly. Now I did heard that like from Shisha is that Mark Hamill as Skeletor. To me, once you say that, I'm be interested to watch that because at least and Shisha did found entertainment value from Skeletor because it's Mark fucking Hamill, the Joker from the Batman animated series. It's always fun when you like inform that to someone who didn't know that before, because like this kind of like surprise on their face is kind of interesting. And one of my friends was like, Mark Hamill did the voice of the Joker, and then goes to IMDb. He was also the voice of Fire Lord Ozai in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of interesting that like Isaiah, you're totally right. These conservatives are complaining about like these new cartoons that have been liberalized or feminized as it were, and not like the cartoons that they enjoyed when they were kids, and yet they're asking us to grow up.
Yeah, I grew up with the cartoons.
No, I was saying it's just that these are like all these people who like you got to be serious, you got to be a hard worker, and like you got to be this boring prude, but then they bitch about cartoons.
Or she would not having big tits is which like to not agree with Thoughtline. I don't think the Korean actually cares about like She-Ra when like that was on the TV show, because Thoughtline was a big fan of like the She-Ra when it was on air in the 80s or late 80s, but he could never like admit it in public because when he did, he got like bullied for that, as it were. So he mentions that like the Korean is kind of like those guys that were bullying them or for bullying him for liking She-Ra back then, and now complaining that the new She-Ra doesn't have big tits, as it were. Hey, Tom, you had a point earlier that you wanted to like touch on?
Yeah, I did. No fucking idea what it was. But I did have there was something. It may come back to me.
Yeah.
Okay. I know. It was about cartoons and how we ought to have cartoons like we had in the old days. We got to
sell them toys.
Oh, fuck you! Not even that. This is much earlier than that. These are cartoons from the 30s and 40s and 50s that I grew up with.
Oh, the really creepy ones were nothing but the mouth moves.
Well,
You get
You're that
good
old?
animation. You get some good animation, really good animation in those old ones. Some of them are really, technically quite good. But the thing that is no, you're talking the mouth thing. That's later. That's in the 70s, 60s, and 70s and 80s, where you just have Clutch Cargo and it's all his mouth moving.
Mhm.
But no, I'm talking about stuff that I try to watch again because I have these great memories of these cartoons as a kid, just sitting and loving them, just eating them up. And I look back on them now, and they're racist and sexist and
Oh, yeah.
unnecessary. Cartoonishly violent is not bad. I don't mind that because I like the Three Stooges, and that was fine. Because that's just cartoonish. But the underlying messages of a lot of those are look at how funny this is because it's what black people do, or what
Yep.
effeminate people do, or what people from other countries do.
Mhm.
Or Native American references are often just horrendous.
Mhm.
Just unimaginably awful.
Yep.
And so there are, I look back on those, and anybody who's telling you that cartoons were better in the old days, you can take it from an ancient person that they should go and fuck themselves. Really
I never like thought they were good back then. But then again,
Mhm.
like I did watch cartoons like just to see what they were back then, and I mean
Yeah.
they do look cringeworthy for sure.
That's
Yeah,
pretty much.
well, some of them, like I say, some of the old stuff is technically pretty good. Technically pretty good.
Like the Fleischer cartoons of Superman from the 1940s, would you say?
Well, those, yeah, but I was
But also the
thinking about
Hanna-Barbera and Looney
no,
Tunes.
not Looney Tunes, maybe,
Jack
and Merry
Jones.
Melodies, but not Hanna-Barbera, where that was the later stuff, the 60s and 70s that
Mhm.
were oh, yabba dabba doo, not
Yep.
so great.
Yabba dabba doo.
Yes. But even with like,
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones.
but yeah, with like,
I was too old for the Flintstones. Actually,
yeah,
I watched some, but it was that was later for me.
that show, the Flintstones. Well, also a lot of Hanna-Barbera things. They just like recut up, re-edited like the Flintstone and Hanna-Barbera cartoons 20 different like times, so that like there's actually 10 different like iterations of the Flintstones, as it were. And yet it's all the same show, it's all the same old cartoons. They just reorganized them, as it were. Same thing with Hanna-Barbera. They just like eventually they just like couple them all together, as it were. And what's kind of interesting in the limited animation for like a television show in Hanna-Barbera or something like that, they also have the Super Friends. But like that Super Friends is a good example of where it's just like they're just still as something like that, and only one part of them is moving. And then the whole thing about like none of the characters moving, but their mouth is moving, something like that. That actually still happens in anime right now, as it were. Because yeah, you can get away with that by just having the mouth move and having a bunch of dialogue, and then just like one movement of the character like later on, as it were. And then also what I commonly find in anime for like to really save money, all the background characters, they're just white stick figures. Sometimes they really are just like white stick figures. I was like, didn't bother to animate all the background characters. They just like sometimes you get out away with it because it's comedy, or because like, well, they're kind of like in a alternative world, as it were. And is this a real world? So yeah, it's kind of like lampshaded there like that, as it were. But yeah. But no, I say you were right. There are some old cartoons that, like, I think Tom's right in that they're coming from the 60s and 70s. Oh, Tom must be right because he was around from the 60s and 70s. Of like where it's like, no, there's like this cell, just like this whole thing, and only the mouth is moving, and sometimes it was actually real human lips that was moving, as it were. That was their way of animating it.
I don't remember that
Yeah.
much. I don't remember that, but yeah, the mouths were there were a limited number of motion frames that they would overlay for different mouth sounds
Mhm.
to limited. Well, the whole thing was to save money because they were cranking out lots and lots of cartoons,
Mhm.
and they needed to keep the budget down.
Yep.
And so they just reused a whole bunch of shit.
Yep. Which is also why for other cartoon shows, even like in the 90s, like Animaniacs or like Batman animated series and other cartoons like that, the physical hand-drawn animation of all those things is often done in Korea, or like maybe some other places around the wherever the labor is cheap, that's the word, essentially. Because like, even though now they're like, anime has like switched over to digital because like it's faster and like cheaper to be able to make it look okay enough to again, that character's just mouth is moving, so he's talking, that's good enough to like for a minute or so or half of so of like a scene.
Go Speed Racer, go.
Yes, exactly.
Did you guys watch
You
the
young people.
Did you guys watch the Speed Racer movie? That movie is way too epileptic for me.
I can't imagine. That can be overstimulating for a lot of people. Because like I have not seen it. I want to because my oldest brother has seen it. He trained to be an animator at the Art Institute, and he says it's like a live action cartoon. That's a word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Wachowski sisters went all out to go in a completely different direction from The Matrix to produce a different kind of visual spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know about it.
I did actually say on the first episode of the original Speed Racer as it aired in America, and hiding the secret plans of the Mach 5 into the windshield was just like that's just dumb. But then yet, Speed Racer's just like, why are they attacking the Mach 5? Pops must have hide the secret plans of Mach 5 in the windshield. And it's like, wait a minute. If Speed Racer correctly guessed that, Pops must do that all the time. Hide the secret plans. I guess it works in plain sight, but we are putting the secret plans into a car that's racing that has a high potential to crash, and windshields tend to shatter as well. It's like, back it up somewhere else. Put it in a safe. Old cartoons are weird.
Yeah. Pops Racer and Mom Racer had a son who they named Speed.
I might be. Wow, that sounds really dark, especially if they were on speed.
Yeah, it's the 60s. Hey, cocaine at least. Isaiah, you about to say something?
I said I might be buying a car tomorrow.
Oh,
cool.
What are you looking for? What kind of car are you looking at?
Someone on Facebook is trying to sell me a PT Cruiser that they're trying to get rid of.
It's a comfortable car.
I'm hearing apprehension here.
It's not a pretty or fast car or fun car, but it is a very comfortable car.
It's retro. It's retro. It's something that they try to make.
Yeah.
They made it for me, for people like me that remember the the old sedans from the long
50s and 60s.
Well, no, from before that actually. It's even more retro than that.
Yeah, it does look like a car out of Batman the Animated Series.
Well, I'll take what I can. They're selling it to me for $1,000, which I have.
I would if you have the potential, the opportunity. In fact, I might, if I were you, I would suggest even saying that you're not going to buy it until this happens. Take it to a mechanic and have them look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, have someone look over it. Make sure.
Make sure that it's not going to fall apart on you, because you always buy the last person's leftovers. You always buy the last person's problems, but you can at least know what they are and decide if you want to take that risk to have to put more money into it later.
Well, yeah, that's what's like something that my dad said when I was like thought about like buying a car, as he was trying to encourage me to buy a car. Essentially, he just suggested, so if I get a car for like $1,000 or $2,000, something like that, I expect to over time, like a year or 2 years or over time of the life of the car, expect to spend more than that on that car just for maintenance, as it were, because it not just like for like oil change, which like people at home can like do it as well, and you can learn about how to do an oil change on Geneta easily. But for any kind of like things that you don't know what it is, or like to get tire repairs, get to like the fixes to the car or something like that, or like weird smoke out of the tailpipe, there's going to be like a lot of maintenance repairs as well. My apprehension for getting in a car was just always the extra cost of car insurance and gasoline, and as well as the added maintenance, which is why I personally for me, I just never got a car. I just really did. It didn't. And I'm kind of glad now because, like, again, I'm close to maxing out both my credit cards, just like giving money to like Joanna or Phoenix as much as I can. And I'm glad I didn't like include the extra expenses of like owning a car as well. But if it works out for you, then it's great. And I totally get like owning a car because where I used to live, you need a car to get anywhere or something like that, or else you
East Coast, you definitely need to. Oh, Southeast, I should say, you definitely need a car.
I mean, I've never, like, my parents never taught me. I actually recently just learned to drive and get a license. So I don't know. I mean, I kind of wish we lived in a country where we didn't have to
drive.
We didn't really have to drive so damn much everywhere. But
Well, what they're talking about now, I think I haven't read into this because I've been not paying attention to fucking anything lately.
That's fine.
What I've read into, what I've seen though, is that the infrastructure bill that is going forward, one of the sticking points, or maybe the main sticking point, is public transit. And I think the oil companies are going to really push against public transit. Well, they always have. That's why we don't have public transit.
I mean, I think Nixon at one point wanted more public transit.
Yep. I mean, remember that for as horrible Nixon is, he did some progressive things like create the EPA as well. But to your point, Tom, you were about to say something.
Oh, just that it's going to be a test to see if the Democrats have a tiny bit of spine, if they can stand up and say, "Hey, look at there are people that would benefit from not having to be forced to have cars or vehicles to be able to do things, to get around and actually participate in society."
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of confidence in them, but
yeah, me too.
But with if we had a little bit more guts, we would possibly have a little bit better public transit system. I would love that because the reason I have a car is because I'm an American of a certain age, and vehicle is freedom in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But the other side of that is that I would like not to have to drive everywhere. If I had public transit, I would be happy not to have a car. To be able to rent a car if I wanted to travel out of town.
Yeah.
Have somebody else take care of it. Make sure be sure that the thing was in good shape when I was driving it. But to be able to live in 10 miles away from town, from a small city, in a tiny village, public transit, it would be nice if there was a bus that came out here, or some kind of transit system. But that's the main reason I have a car, is because I need to get into town to shop and go to appointments and things like that.
Well, the problem is also just people in Florida just can't drive worth a shit.
Oh, nobody can drive worth a shit. Anyway.
No, nobody can drive worth a shit. Yeah.
And I also just need it for just getting a better job when I get done with school, because
that's useful.
Yeah, it hasn't happened too much, but sometimes I if I happen to have a car, then places would be like, oh, that'll be great because then you can drive here and you can drive here, and I can like travel to like when I'm working at gas stations, I can travel to other gas stations to like help out there. Or if I were to like have a car at my current job, it's where then they can have me drive up to like Ballard to pick up some parts or something like that because like they like that having that idea. I heard like an account manager driving to to an airport to pick up a guy who had parts that were coming from like our supplier as it were, so that they can finally ship out just 15 parts as it were. It seems like it's just like people would think, oh, it's nice to have a car, and just like I just choose not to. Which is why we just like me and my brothers kind of like decide on this one location here because right next to a major state highway and next to the freeway, so there's like easy access to busing as it were that's reliable enough as it is for busing.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are there any fascists we could fish?
Yes.
Is it time that we could do that? Because
We could indeed.
The arm that I was talking
I'm
about
about to leave at 3:10.
Yeah,
Okay,
I would like
Okay,
to
so let's
be
go
able to
ahead and get
pick
this
up.
done. So today we have definitely for real actual leftists. First up, Amy Therese,
Okay.
Talking
who
about
thinks
like
that prostitutes, politicians, and professors are all equivalent to paramilitary who collaborate with the CIA and the New York Times.
Huh?
Yeah,
prostitutes,
Okay,
politicians,
and
what was the third one?
professors
Professors.
are all equivalent to paramilitary collaborating with the CIA and the New York Times.
All right.
Next up, we have Lauren Chen, aka Roaming Millennial, who
Oh,
says
God.
that political correctness is opening gulags. And finally, definitely a real journalist, Andy Ngo, who accused Antifa of burning a church in Tacoma, Washington.
I have not heard about this, so I'm gonna mention that Nico is lying.
I would say the Antifa one is probably the one that's not true.
Okay, so Isaiah thinks that Andy Ngo did not accuse Antifa of burning a church. Jonathan?
Well, Nico would definitely accuse Antifa of doing that. So maybe it was just like a spark fire or something like that, and just blames it on Antifa. So that could be like a real tweet. I think I'm gonna go with the Roman Millennial one.
Okay. And Tom.
Oh shit. Although, okay, I have no fucking clue. I'm gonna say it's Andy because Andy knows. That's the. But the thing is, that's what he would say.
Yeah.
And you're an asshole, so you would probably go with, say that he said something that he would obviously say when he actually didn't say it. So I'm probably wrong, but I'm gonna the dice say Andy, so I'm gonna say Andy.
Okay. So you all agree that Amy Therese would say something that weird and stupid. And she did, in fact, say something that weird and stupid.
I don't know who she is, so that's.
She is a leftist of some
Nazball.
kind?
Just a terrible person.
She's a TERF and a SWERF, and she's just awful all around. If your comrades are prostitutes, politicians, professors, paramilitary troops who collaborate with CIA and NYT colonists and heirs of the MIC, the class interests you are pushing are those of the capitalist state, i.e. the bourgeoisie. Your solidarity, TM, is ruling class solidarity. Yeah, she is Deepak Chopra of leftism. Word salad all over the place.
That's interesting. So women who choose to exercise their independence to use their bodies to make their way through this hard economy are fascists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, being a prostitute is the same as parachuting into a third world country and committing genocide.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And so is the New York Times.
Yeah.
She is fucking wild. All right. So next up, we have Lauren Chen, If you haven't noticed it by now, even North Korean defector Yeonmi Park in North Korea knows Western leftists are increasingly embracing totalitarianism. Political correctness is now a threat to free speech and equality. The gulags are open bigots.
She did say that like cancel culture is equals to gulags.
Mm-hmm. Political correctness yeah. Also, Yeonmi Park did get out of North Korea and is apparently a lying liar who lies all the time about her escape from North Korea.
Still, congrats for getting out.
Mm-hmm. So that means that Andy Ngo actually is the fake. A church was destroyed in a fire in Tacoma, Washington. Investigators are treating it as suspicious. He does not actually accuse Antifa of burning the church. He just says militant far-left activists inspired by church vandalisms in Canada have taken to vandalizing churches in U.S. recently as revenge for colonialism. So he doesn't even mention Antifa there. And he doesn't actually accuse anyone of setting fire to the church, but he does very strongly imply it.
So, see, that's why I thought you probably fucked around with that. That's so out of character for Andy to not blame a particular person or organization or disorganization, I guess. Okay.
So yeah, Andy Ngo actually
so I
was
should-
slightly more sane than I made him sound.
Yeah. So Isaiah and Tom McDonald, you both won. You both
Yeah.
can sing.
Trust to die, I guess.
You now can sing in your butt song.
I wait. I'm looking at the what's on YouTube at the moment.
The chat.
Yeah.
God,
Right on the
goodness, no
screen.
eye is not to judge, but look at titties.
Even
Well,
the ears. To hear
God has
titties.
given us eyes not to judge other, but to look at titties. Mouth not to criticize, but kiss titties. Ears not to be sensitive, but hear titties? I don't know. Hands not to punish, but to hold titties. Saw it on Facebook. It made me giggle.
Yeah. Oh, so
Well, I don't. Yeah, I'm obviously pro titty. Yes.
I saw this on no, actually no, how I saw this meme, a photo, a coworker saw this, knew that I would get a kick out of it, and walked all the way to like my stock room just to show me this that he like found on like Facebook. I shared it to like Twitter. There's my tweet of it for you to check it out, because we've all seen that T-shirt that says "Come to the dark side. We have cookies." So one person
T-shirt
is like,
lied.
yes.
Dark side no have cookies.
is unfortunately the Cookie Monster joined the Stormtroopers as believing the T-shirt. So don't believe everything that you read on a T-shirt. Learn that from like Cookie Monster. Oh yeah, that's what I mean, because yeah, that's a lot happening in like that happen a lot in Latin America across the way. Speaking of Latin America, actually, Colombia is still having like anti-government protests, as it were. So because they have a right-wing government, as it were, and recently they were trying to like propose like a new tax proposal, since the last one totally failed in April and prompted a general strike. That was a long general strike, like across the whole country and like for several days or something like that. So there's more stuff and a protest in Colombia happening right now. So there is the Marxine Now article that like didn't read before I brought that up, and so I probably should actually read that before like I mentioned this. But that's what.
Excuse me. Before you go on, my shoulder is actually beginning to kill me, and I'm going to pull a Julie and say, "Oh, I hurt." So, and but again, 1/10 of what she functions with all the time is killing me right now. So I want to fuck everybody. Well, I do, but I want to tell you to fuck off, And I want to tell everybody that would like to hear that in the chat that they can also fuck off if they choose. So fuck off. Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
Tom.
Tom. Thank you for stopping by. So yeah, violence against women and LGBT in the protests. Police are cracking down, of course. So
Of course.
it's just that same thing as we're like during protests in like April, May, and June. There have been like recordings of 28 cases of sexual assault by police.
Well, sounds like America is about ready to go in and free them from their left-wing oppressors.
That was because like George W. Bush said that like America went into like Afghanistan and Iraq to free the oppression of women from their totalitarian like governments, as it were. Yes, so we invaded Iraq not for WMDs, that was the reason at the time, but to save the women. All about the women's, all about the WOMs. Or that's a convenient escape for them for like American imperialism. That's the real reason. Come on. But yeah. So, well, let's see. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by a game I'm playing, and at the time as well, I have to like put my units down and sort. I know how professional of me. I'm also playing the game as I'm doing this like show or something like that. Yeah, so let's see. But in now we have our Kurt silence.
Mm-hmm. It's because I was just looking at a
run,
list
though.
of
I'll see you guys
coups
later.
committed by the U.S.
Oh, okay. Like 92 of them. And Isaiah, you have to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Later, Isaiah.
See you,
Thank you for
Isaiah.
dropping by.
See you later.
Yeah, how many coups have there been? And because there's been coups all around the world, but there's been like a lot of regime change that happened like in Latin America and other places. Well, like the Middle East, like Iraq, that's a word. Because there's a whole Wikipedia article on that list of U.S.
United States involvement in regime change. There were we had three things that we did before 1887. And then we started going hard in 1900.
Yep. It's probably part of the Monroe Doctrine as well. Here we go.
But I noticed that it doesn't include there is Cuba right there. But I think that was our second time going to Cuba.
Because there was like Cuba between 1906 and 1909, and then there was like Cuba in 1959, all the way up to like 2021. Because the Bay of Pigs was Cuba, wasn't that?
Yes.
And that was a failed one too.
Mm-hmm. Nicaragua, Mexico, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Russia, Panama, Japan, Germany again, Italy, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Philippines, Austria, South Korea, China, Greece, Italy, Costa Rica, Albania, Syria, Burma and China, Egypt, Iran, Guatemala, Syria again, Indonesia, South Vietnam, Iraq, Cuba, Congo, Laos, Dominican Republic again, Brazil, Iraq, Indonesia, Cambodia, Chile, Bolivia, Ethiopia, Angola, Afghanistan. It just keeps going and going.
I was trying to get a number of how many times it happened for my question to Steve Shives, and it was like 92. And it was just like, Jesus Christ. And like Venezuela 2019, it's like, so it's still like up to like a current day. There's also like the Bolivia one in 2019. We financially backed that one as well. So maybe I can also...
we have a list of assassinations done by the US that we know of.
Oh, that's right. That's the thing. That's the thing with the CIA, because like they can operate in secrecy and not be held accountable, because they lied to like they lied about the number of casualties of like the Guatemala one in 1954 to Eisenhower as president then, as it were. So it was like, and there was no trials whatsoever for our involvement in Guatemala, as it were, and we didn't even get the reports of like the Iran regime change in 1953 until like 60 years later or something like that, because of all that secrecy and Cold War stuff. And it's just like yeah, Cold War, and it's like there's a whole section of like because of the Cold War, because like communism fails and socialism fails every time it gets tried, which is why we must fight an entire war in order to make sure it doesn't like succeed whatsoever. And so yeah, a lot of those things.
I was kind of surprised. All the assassinations, almost all of them were like 2008 and after via drone strike. Apparently, the CIA has been very, very careful not to be directly involved
Oh yes.
in any assassinations.
Plausible deniability. That's the best thing to do it. That's what that keeps the terrorist organization of the CIA to be around, as Marty Abernathy pointed out in like her Tea Party yesterday. Because yeah, and it's all because of like Americans' interests of like, if not oil, other resources of like natural gas, lithium in Bolivia, or these other things. Only reason that we always like back Israel, because like it's nice to have like a proxy state right there, so that like we can like just, hey, we're friends with Israel, so let's go here, set up camp here, and like we probably already have bases there anyway because we're allies, as we have bases everywhere else, where even though our allies like Germany and
Let's go ahead and destabilize the Middle East to keep fuel prices down.
So this is the thing, is that like I just gotten so used to it that like I didn't question it at the time. Like in the early 2000s, the Last Comic Standing, the first one is something like that. Ralphie May and his one is like last stand-up routines to try to win the competition. He went on a whole thing about like it was a complaint about the protesters. It's a war on oil, referring to Iraq in 2003, and he said, damn right, it's a war on oil. I want cheaper gas. I think that's an epitome of American exceptionalism right there, as it were. And so normalized that Ralphie May did a whole comedy routine about it and like said, let's line up. I want cheaper gas. Let's line up. Take care of all these countries. Let's line them up. And so that just shows you how like normal like American hegemony and foreign policy can be, to the point that's like, yep, there's jokes about it. Oh yeah, we never care about like the actual Iraqi people or something like that. Just like we never really care about the Vietnamese like citizens that like were killed by the millions and like our whole occupation of that area from like the 60s and the 50s. Even though we were involved in it since the 50s, with affecting their like elections, as it were. Yeah, millions of like Vietnamese were killed, but also 50,000 American soldiers.
We are the evil empire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were always like talking about like numbers of like American soldiers that died in Iraq, as we're like up top to like 3,400 or something like that. I forgot. It's like a daily total or something like that. They didn't mention the journalists that there was hundreds of journalists that also died in the over in Iraq too, but all the Iraqi citizens. It's just like, no, it's not important about the Iraqi citizens. Only American soldiers. Our boys and girls are over there. That was a part of that weird time period where we almost like a cult to just like, yes, we were struck by planes on like September 11th. We will follow our leader of George W. Bush, who says you are either with us or against us. Like, wow, that's a damning statement right there. Jordan P. Yeah, but I don't like Steve Shots fans either, something like that. I have argued with them about like many different things a lot of times. Sometimes to the point that like I think one of them was trying to like make me feel bad for being like a talker, not a doer, or something like that. Oh, yes, exactly. Are we the baddies? What else is also in the headlines? Oh yeah, that's right. The Tokyo Olympic Games is happening, and COVID-19 surges in the Tokyo Games as well, as people are protesting this. It's like, why the fuck are we doing this?
Well, we gotta shut up, nationalism.
Yeah, basically is it. And I still love that meme of like, why would socialists do this? There's all those different things like we're still sanctioning Cuba, and they're having like the search and something like that.
We would be the best thing we could do for Cuba, for anything, would be just stop the sanctions
and embargo.
It would. I don't think that Cuba would turn capitalist overnight, but I honestly think that that would be very effective in bringing capitalism to Cuba.
Yeah, exactly. Lift the embargo, lift the sanctions on Yemen or Iraq, as it were. It's just like, should the citizens have to like suffer of like a lack of food, lack of medicine, lack of all this sort of things because of like what their governments did? I mean, I even like said it to like Steve. It's the worst. Like I know that you're American, but just because like the American government has done all these things, 92 different like regime changes over the last like 200 years or something like that. But just because you're American doesn't mean you're responsible for all those things. But as Jean Paul Sartre said in French though, but the translation is "We are murderers," because if we benefit from like Western imperialism, our blood is on our hands. But no, let's go production under capitalism. True, but we still benefit from that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something I want to like ask Steve. No, wait, I don't have to ask Steve. Actually, 255 AD actually asked that. It's kind of where that like Steve Shives loved NASA and loved space programs and all like that, and which is back to like actual astronauts and not the rich billionaires that are flying up in penis ships. You see? I'm not. Yeah, other people thought that too. I said that to like a friend who was streaming. It's like, so I'm not the only one that thought that. It is a penis ship. So not only is it a pissing contest,
it's literally a giant dick. Yes,
it's a giant dick. But I think like even Steve Shives would like it kind of agree. It's like I would love NASA, but we shouldn't have like imperialism just so that we can have NASA. It's kind of more of like the bell's already run and the like glass is already shattered. So it's just like, but we should still stop the harm that we're causing. Jordan P, that one weirdo in the chat, John Burns, I'm still friends with him on Facebook. He's a weirdo to me on my Facebook comments as well. But if you are ever there, I think that we should start doing this. Whenever John Burns just like comments something that's like seems unrelated or sometimes even totally unrelated to the original post, just then comment below and reply saying something totally not connected whatsoever. Kind of like, you know, that deer will eat anything unless you put it in front of it, or something like that. It's like moose bites can be nasty or anything like that.
Ducks have corkscrew-shaped penises.
It is. Mm-hmm. I think like lion's penises also like tines on them as well. So it's just like it's not
all cats, in fact.
Oh, yep. So there you go. Just like random facts like that, as we're like we are just like hairless monkeys. Hey,
apes.
Yeah, apes. Yeah, we are apes, not monkeys.
Well, we are monkeys too, but we're closer to apes than monkeys.
Closer to apes, yeah. Mm-hmm. Monkeys can be apes, but apes are not monkeys.
Vice versa.
Okay.
Apes are monkeys, but monkeys are not apes.
Okay, there we go.
Basically, apes are monkeys that lost their tails and primarily do not live in trees, whereas monkeys have tails and primarily live in trees. Primarily arboreal, I think.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, what else is happening? Oh yeah, that was what I was thinking of doing, looking at Google News, see what headlines I will get, and so like I have something else to talk about, because I don't know if you have something else to add.
No. Got pretty much nothing. I shot my wad with the Evangelical thing.
Because like I'm seeing like Fauci's yeah, so like
fucking Lauren Biebert and her Fauci-ouchie. Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That's it. Yes.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. A reporter asked her if she was vaccinated, and she went off on just making up bullshit about HIPAA. HIPAA says that a doctor can't tell anybody about your medical stuff without your permission. You are allowed to tell anyone anything you want about your medical stuff. Mm-hmm. A reporter is fully allowed to ask you if you are a conspiracy theorist piece of shit, whether or not you've been vaccinated.
Mm, yeah. Okay, I just saw a headline about the Olympics, but then that made me think, why do we still have the Olympics? Oh, wait, nationalism. That's right. You already said that.
I think we should make the Olympics naked again.
Yes, that would be interesting. But also allow women to compete because, like, they did that thing like a week or two ago of like banning a cis woman from competing, a black woman from competing because too much testosterone. So can we ban? So can they ban like tall basketball players for being too tall?
I think they
Because
should. Tall people freak me out.
I mean, that 7'9" player from the that's Chinese that plays for the Houston team. I forgot this name.
Arizona Suns, Yao Ming.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. He's like he has too much of a physical advantage for being so tall, so ban him from like the sport.
Oh no, he's Houston Rockets. You were right.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong.
I don't follow basketball anyway. It's just like men playing with big balls. You know I'm not wrong. Devin Nunes. Why do I know that name? And why is he trending on politics Twitter?
Devin Nunes is Cal?
Yes,
he was one of Trump's early supporters. That's all I remember about him.
Are they complaining about like the burgers again? Is that what they're doing? The Green New Deal is taking their cows. Biden's going to take.
No, that was a Twitter account. Devin Nunes is Cal. Just a joke Twitter account that made fun of Devin Nunes.
Hey, Groundhog, how are you doing? If we come into the portion of the show, we're running out of like things to talk about because like both like John Bruckman and I shot our watch with like two different like stories as well. I mentioned the Activision Blizzard thing. John Bruckman brought up like evangelicals and how they like eugenics. And then we already played Fitzy Fashy, and I was just like two white guys. Well, I appear to be a cis guy, but I'm actually not cis. But yeah, thing. NASA saves $1.5 billion by choosing SpaceX. Oh God. Now the NASA's going to rely on SpaceX, and it's just like
we could save a hell of a lot more money by doing this shit ourselves and not relying on incompetent private ventures.
Well, I think it's best to like we just like call the show right now because other than you and I just like sitting here like looking at things on like
basically we're just reading Reddit now.
Again, I should feel like I should have like prepared more often about the sort of things because I think I covered everything I wanted to mention about like the Activision Blizzard story about the work ethic, crunch time, like the hostile work environments were, and not surprisingly, the evangelicals to be connected to like eugenics. So Groundhog, even though you joined us at the last minute and something like that, I'm afraid we're going to call the show here. I'm also going to go play. Going to watch a movie, anime movie with my brothers, Weathering with You. I think that's a Makoto Shinkai movie. Do I have that actually here? Yes, I do. I got a poster when it was like in theaters like 2019 as it were. And it is the Makoto Shinkai. Yes, from the creator of the worldwide phenomenon Your Name. Yeah, that's an excellent movie. So I'm going to see it again since it's like, you know what? Why not? So that's what I'll do later today. But like do the pitches. For those who don't know, Summer and Geek on YouTube, Summer and Geek on Twitch, Summer and Geek on Twitter. I should go back to like posting things up on my YouTube channel. I might not Twitch stream later tonight, but like I had an awesome like stream yesterday, even when like I got rated in by someone who has like a 18 plus as their rules on Twitch, and I discussed that with her, and because I hate that rule that Twitch streamers are. But anyway, and so John Bruckman, you are part of another podcast.
Indeed, Dungeons and Debacles. We are saving the world from an evil red dragon cult. Right now, we are in we're adventuring in the Underdark, which means that you will hear about that part of the adventure probably 5-6 months from now.
Well, Kevin has like his own job and stuff like that, and like that takes priority over like a podcast of like Dungeons and Dragons. And also one final pitch as well. We should really put it in the description as well, so it's like below all of our videos and upcoming for as well. CharityLinks.page, because like especially Phoenix, I think I already posted like her GoFundMe and PayPal pool in there, but like both their new PayPal pool and her GoFundMe are still in CharityLinks.page. So CharityLinks.page, share it around. If you happen to know a super rich person that's not flying into space well in a penis shaped shuttle, then maybe see if they can like help out the people in the Charity Links page for their needs and stuff like that. I should add more like links in there of like other people I know. So
I'm surprised I didn't already have the charity links in there. I just added it.
Yeah. Well, like you said before, you're of like one of three, like you're in two modes of where you can get things wrong right now and not right now. So if you don't do it right now, you won't do it. But yep,
not ever.
Not ever. Later will come. Oh, I'll do that later. Later never comes. Goodbye, comrades and potential comrades.
Bye-bye. Hydrate, masturbate, medicate.